They threw thrones in your path, thinking you'd trip, never realizing they were crowning you by mistake. That's the irony of cosmic balance. The same hands that tried to break you end up building the staircase to your elevation. See, life doesn't forget, it just waits. Every act of sabotage, every calculated lie, every whisper campaign launched against you, weighed, recorded, returned. The universe? It plays no favorites. It doesn't need applause or permission to rebalance what's been wronged. The moment someone tries to rig your downfall, they trigger the math of their own collapse. That's how it works when the scale swings back, not by emotion, but by design. And my dear chosen ones, you are the design they could never decode. The critics, the snakes in nice suits, the puppeteers pulling strings behind false smiles, they thought they were in control. But they never accounted for one thing, the haunting power of being chosen. You don't chase justice. You become the reason justice awakens. You don't beg for clarity. Your presence makes their lies unravel. So let them smirk. Let them scheme. The very energy they spent trying to bury you is now burying them in regret. They lit a fire and assumed it would burn you down. But you walked through it and came out untouchable. This is your moment. The universe is shifting, and it's aligning with you. Like, subscribe, stay locked in, because what's coming next will silence every critic and crown every chosen one watching right now. This isn't random. This kind of storm, this kind of silence, this level of setup, only chosen ones go through it, because only chosen ones carry something this valuable. Others won't understand it. They'll mock it, deny it, or fear it. But you know it's real because you've lived it. So stay with me till the end, because what's unfolding next will confirm everything your spirit already knew. You were never abandoned. You were activated by a family far richer than this world can comprehend. Number 1. Don't fear the system that's now turning on your enemies. It was pulsing through you before you even had language to describe it. A frequency, a signal, a force no environment could program into you, because it didn't come from here. You didn't become the chosen one through effort. You were born with the code already activated, a spiritual heirloom buried in your very breath. Ever paused and wondered how you could read rooms without speaking, spot lies wrapped in smiles, feel shifts before they ever happened? That's not paranoia. That's ancestral clarity. That's spiritual intelligence passed down from a bloodline so old, so powerful, it doesn't measure legacy in land or currency, but in awareness, presence, and impact. Your real family is rich, not in show, but in substance. Their wealth isn't paraded on magazine covers. It's embedded in dimensions, realms of wisdom, intuition, and foresight. And long before you realized who you were, your enemies did. That's why they circled. Not because of what you had on the outside, but because of what you carried on the inside. They saw the light flicker behind your eyes and mistook it for naivety. But it was strategy. It was design. You were never out of place. You were just ahead of your time. They tried to outnumber you, outtalk you, outplan you. But the truth is, their obsession was never about what you did. It was about who you were. Your mere existence threatened the illusions they built their lives on. You didn't have to raise your voice to disturb their comfort. You just had to be present, like a fault line beneath a pretty city, unseen, silent, but ready to shift the entire foundation. And so they tried to shut you down with subtle weapons, exclusion disguised as coincidence, betrayal dressed as friendship, gaslighting masked as advice. But what they didn't account for was the source of your fire. This isn't a light you learned, it's one you inherited. Not from society, not from your immediate lineage, but from a higher lineage, a force that designed you for disruption. That's why the attacks felt so relentless. Because you weren't just living, you were radiating. You weren't just surviving, you were exposing. And when your energy starts uncovering what others spend their lives hiding, they panic, they sabotage, they isolate you to extinguish what they can't replicate. But what if I told you their opposition was actually your confirmation? That the resistance you felt wasn't a punishment, but a proclamation? Their world is built on fragile myths. Yours is grounded in eternal mechanics. You were never supposed to fit in. You were built to shift things. The rejection you felt, that was rerouting. The doors that locked, they weren't denial. They were preservation. Chosen one, everything that tried to break you was secretly building you. They didn't know that removing you from the crowd was the very thing that would unleash your calling. Their interference didn't interrupt your destiny, it introduced it. And now, the very silence they pushed you into is echoing louder than their noise ever could. Number 2. Stop looking to earthly ties when your real bloodline holds the power. They told you family was who raised you, who shared your last name, who sat at your dinner table. But chosen one, what if I told you the real wealth in your life isn't tied to those who held you, but those who sent you? You keep searching for validation in earthly bloodlines that were never meant to hold your crown. That ache you feel when you try to belong. It's not because something's broken in you. It's because your spirit was born into royalty, and this realm just can't explain it. Your enemies saw it first, long before you did. That quiet brilliance in you that made them nervous. That unshakable intuition that always placed you 10 steps ahead. They tried to label you difficult, rebellious, too intense, because they couldn't control what was never theirs to begin with. You don't belong to this matrix of survival. You were sent from a kingdom of authority, born of a bloodline that speaks in codes, visions, and power. So stop crying over people who never had the capacity to understand your worth. Stop expecting human ties to match your divine mission. Earth is not your origin. You were assigned here. And the power flowing through you isn't a personality trait. It's inheritance. It's legacy. It's kingdom-level access. When you walk, the atmosphere shifts. When you speak, dormant souls remember who they are. You've been looking in the wrong direction. Earth didn't make you. Earth just received you. And the ones who tried to lock you out of their little circles, they forgot. Heaven never needed their permission to elevate you. Your real family? They're watching, resourcing, and preparing your table. And this time, no Judas gets an invite. Number 3. Don't mistake isolation for rejection. It was divine insulation. They didn't walk away because you failed. They distanced themselves because your spirit exposed what they were trying to keep hidden. What felt like abandonment was actually the universe locking the door behind them to protect what was growing inside of you. My dear chosen one, that season of isolation wasn't a setback. It was sacred insulation. You weren't being removed, you were being refined. Think of a diamond buried deep in the earth. It isn't displayed in public until it's endured the pressure, the heat, the silence. The silence wasn't punishment. It was a vault, a spiritual incubation chamber. The very people you cried over, begged to stay, or questioned yourself over, were not equipped to be present for your elevation. They would have tainted your timing. So they were removed. They didn't reject you. They were repelled by your frequency. Chosen ones aren't made in crowds. They're sculpted in solitude. Your isolation was not the absence of love. It was the presence of alignment. The universe was filtering your environment, stripping away noise so you could hear your real inheritance calling. And now that you're rising, those same people will try to re-enter. without realizing they were locked out by design. Protect your atmosphere. That isolation gave birth to your awareness. And now you see. Number 4. Quit doubting your calling. You were born with codes. This world can't crack. They want you to doubt yourself because your certainty terrifies them. You weren't born confused. You were born encrypted, your soul wrapped in codes this world was never meant to decode. That's why you've always felt misunderstood, misplaced, mistranslated. Because your frequency doesn't belong to surface-level thinkers or common energies. It belongs to the divine order that predated their systems and will outlive their empires. You've always been different, not because you tried to be, but because your blueprint carries sacred assignments. Your instincts, not random. Your insights, not lucky guesses. Your entire being is a walking signal from another realm, vibrating with encrypted information only your real family understands. And yet, because your brilliance couldn't be labeled, they tried to shrink it. Because your knowing couldn't be trained, they tried to tame it. Every time you showed spiritual accuracy, they called you paranoid. Every time your energy pierced through masks, they said you were too sensitive. But that wasn't sensitivity. It was supernatural sensitivity. And they couldn't handle it. So let this sink in. Chosen one, you're not overreacting. You're remembering. You're not unstable. You're awakening. The more they try to erase your essence, the more your purpose carves itself into the world. You were never meant to fit their mold. You were born to disrupt it. Now stop doubting your design. The codes inside you were placed there for such a time as this. Number 5. Stop asking why they betrayed you. It was blueprinted for your rise. Chosen one, betrayal was not a glitch in your story. It was a calculated activation. You've spent too long replaying scenes in your head, trying to understand why they turned on you, lied to you, sabotaged you, when all you ever gave them was loyalty. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Their betrayal wasn't personal, it was prophetic. You see, the moment you were born into your divine assignment, the blueprint of your life had to include pressure points. And betrayal, that was one of them. Not to destroy you, but to thrust you into your next dimension. You were too valuable to stay hidden in comfort. Your destiny needed the sharp edge of disappointment to cut you loose from the illusions you had outgrown. They didn't betray you because you were weak. They betrayed you because you were chosen, and your presence made them confront everything they would never become. You were a mirror too clean for their lies to hide in. And when truth walks into the room, pretenders panic. So stop asking why. Stop trying to decode the minds of those who were only ever meant to play a temporary role in your transformation. Their exit wasn't abandonment, it was clearance. The throne you're being seated on required space. Let the betrayal be proof that your inheritance is real. Number 6. Never apologize for being silent. That was your sharpest weapon. They wanted noise. They wanted you reactive, emotional, defensive, because silence scared them. See, silence is not weakness. Silence is power concentrated. It's the quiet before the storm, the space where divine strategy is born. While they were out there performing, trying to control the narrative, you were in divine stillness, receiving downloads no human whisper could corrupt. Your silence wasn't submission, it was selection. Every moment you didn't respond was a moment your real family rearranged the spiritual battlefield in your favor. And they didn't see it. They mistook your restraint for retreat. But the chosen don't bark. They build. They don't rant. They rise. You were never playing their game. You were mastering the board they thought they owned. Chosen One, don't apologize for not explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You were born into a royal lineage that moves in codes, not chaos. In realms where silence is the sacred language of kings, your quiet became your sword, and it cut deeper than any argument ever could. Because the loudest one in the room is rarely the one in charge. And you've been trained by the silence of spiritual royalty, calm, composed, calibrated. That quiet endurance they mocked, it was the sound of ancient wealth protecting its heir. So never apologize for not clapping back. Silence was your announcement. Number 7. Don't chase truth. The mirror they twisted is exposing them now. Chosen One, you were never meant to go running after truth like a beggar seeking validation. You are the truth, quiet, consistent, and undeniable. And now, the mirror they once distorted to smear your reflection is turning. And it's not showing you, it's showing them. They thought they could edit the narrative, crop out their guilt, blur your innocence, and filter your light. But mirrors are loyal to one thing only: reality. And reality doesn't negotiate with deception. Every twisted perception, every projection they launched to discredit you, it's now folding in on them like a trap they set for someone else, but forgot to escape themselves. You see, chosen ones don't fight for visibility. They become visibility. That's why your enemies panicked. They weaponized perception because they knew they could never compete with the weight of your truth. While you were silent, they were spinning. While you were healing, they were hiding. And now, their own script is being read back to them, line by incriminating line. What they failed to realize is that the mirror they used to control your image is cosmic. It doesn't forget. It doesn't lie. And now it's snapping back with terrifying clarity. Let them look now. Let them see the truth they buried claw its way back into the light. Not because you forced it, but because the universe refuses to protect lies any longer. You never had to chase justice. You were born aligned with it. Your truth doesn't need a spotlight. The mirror is already lit. Number 8. Quit thinking the battle was missed. The courtroom was always in session. Chosen One, stop assuming that just because it looked quiet, nothing was happening. That silence you mistook for neglect, it was the sound of divine deliberation. While you were bleeding in real time, invisible courtrooms were reviewing every detail. Your pain was the evidence, your endurance the testimony. You thought you were forgotten. But in reality, every betrayal, every ambush, every tear that fell without a witness was recorded. Not in gossip columns or social feeds, but in the archives of a justice system that doesn't need cameras to convict. While they were laughing, celebrating their schemes, the scale was tipping. Slowly, quietly, precisely. See, this battle was never missed. It was being measured. The reason it didn't explode overnight is because your justice isn't emotional, it's strategic. You were never waiting for a show. You were being positioned for a spectacle that makes headlines in both the spiritual and natural realms. What they tried to erase has been engraved. What they buried is resurfacing. You didn't miss your moment. Your moment has been maturing. And now, the gavel is in mid-air. The verdict is loaded. Your enemies thought they escaped, but they were only being observed in 4K by realms they forgot existed. The courtroom never closed. It just didn't need your presence to proceed. Number 9. Stop fighting divine timing. The 7-day cycle has already been triggered. There's a rhythm moving underneath your life, chosen one. A beat older than the ticking of any clock, and whether you're aware of it or not, you're dancing to it. This isn't chaos, this is divine alignment. The 7-day cycle you've stepped into isn't just symbolic, It's a spiritual pulse encoded into your bloodline. Stop doubting what's unfolding. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are synced with something that does not answer to human deadlines. The delay? That wasn't denial. It was orchestration. You were being positioned with surgical precision. So while they laughed, thinking your silence was weakness, the countdown had already begun. 7 isn't just a number. It's a divine algorithm used by your real family to mark moments of transformation. The world was created in 6 days, and on the 7th, balance was declared. That blueprint wasn't random. It was instruction. The same pattern flows through you now. This is not the time to force. This is the time to align. You're not waiting for destiny. Destiny is waiting for you to see that it's already moving. The very system that once resisted you is now tilting in your favor. So don't panic if doors suddenly swing open or enemies fall without a word. That's not luck. That's the cycle unfolding. Trust it. Walk with it. Let the timing serve you. Because chosen one, the 7-day wheel has already turned, and nothing can stop what's been set in motion. Number 10. Don't just aim for restoration, you're being repositioned for power. Chosen one, restoration is not the finish line, it's the launching pad. You weren't just meant to get back what you lost, you're being upgraded into a realm where loss itself becomes irrelevant. This isn't a repair job, it's a divine redesign. What they stole, blocked or broke was never the full picture. That was just the bait. The real treasure is in what you've now become. See, when they tried to dismantle you, they thought they were reducing your value. But every piece they tried to scatter only awakened the parts of you that were dormant. And now, you're not coming back as who you were. You're rising as who you were always meant to be. Unfiltered, unshakable, and fully activated. You're not just being restored to your previous position. That chapter has closed. You're being repositioned to a seat they never saw coming. You're being lifted into environments that demand a different version of you, one forged through silence, fire, and precision. The table you're being prepared for isn't one you need to ask for a seat at. It's being custom built around your presence. The voices that once tried to silence you are now scrambling to redefine the narrative. But it's too late. You are the narrative now. You are the shift they didn't prepare for. And let this sink in. Chosen one, what's happening is not a reward. It's a recalibration. The throne wasn't given to you because of pity. It was handed to you because no one else could carry the weight without misusing the authority. So don't aim for restoration anymore. That's beneath you now. Focus on your repositioning. Because once you step into this new alignment, your influence will no longer echo in whispers. It will thunder through generations. Number 11. Stop begging for help. Your hidden allies are already in motion. Chosen one, the moment you stopped pleading for backup, was the moment the real reinforcements were activated, ones not bound by titles or public praise, but by divine assignment and cosmic loyalty. You've been looking for support with human eyes, expecting aid to come wrapped in recognition and applause. But the wealth of your true family moves in silence, behind veils, through unlikely sources. And right now, those allies you cannot see, they're already 10 steps ahead, clearing paths, unlocking rooms, and preparing the stage. It's time to stop begging for understanding from those who were never designed to comprehend your depth. You were never meant to fit into their small frameworks. You were never meant to be saved by the crowd. You were chosen to rise with precision, escorted by help so sacred it doesn't arrive with noise. It moves like air, like gravity, essential, invisible, and unstoppable. What if I told you the delay wasn't denial, it was synchronization? What if every door that didn't open was a decoy, designed to reroute you to the exact alliance that was custom-built for your destiny? Remember this, real wealth doesn't need an audience, and your real family doesn't need credit. They move with kingdom silence, not social validation. And they've already started. So hold your head high, chosen one. You're not forgotten. You're being backed by a force that never sleeps. Would you like to continue with the next number? Number 12. Don't dread the stage. The system that silenced you is now your platform. They built the courtroom to condemn you. Now it's the stage where your legacy begins. Chosen one, isn't it ironic? The very structure they used to silence you, the whispers, the policies, the public shaming, has become the same architecture amplifying your truth. They never expected the system to shift. They never imagined that what once gagged you would now hand you the mic. But here you are, centered, elevated, undeniable. You were never meant to run from the spotlight. The delay wasn't denial, it was divine choreography. While they weaponized institutions, you were being prepared behind the veil. Every rejection became rehearsal. Every silence became training. You thought the silence was exile. No, chosen one, it was soundcheck. They wrote you off, hoping you'd vanish into the margins. But fate doesn't retire royalty. It waits for the precise moment to launch it. And now, that moment is here. You're not walking onto a stage built for performance. You're walking into alignment. Every camera, every record, every headline they hoped would humiliate you will now become historical evidence of your resilience. They tried to script your downfall. But chosen one, your story was never in their hands. Now the system bows to the voice it once tried to erase. You've become the headline, not because you chased it, but because you embodied truth so fully that the world had no choice but to listen. And so, chosen one, what once tried to mute you is now echoing your power. The system that suppressed your truth has become the very amplifier of your authority. This isn't just justice, it's poetic alignment. You didn't force your way onto the stage. The stage came searching for you. So stand tall, speak with fire, and remember, your voice was never the problem, it was always the threat. If this message resonates with the power rising inside you, like this video, subscribe for more and drop 777 in the comments to declare that your season of silence is over.